Tallahassee, the capital city of Florida, while one of the northernmost cities in the state, it's still known for its warm and humid weather in the winter months, like on December 10th in 2019, when the highs of the day were well above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. On that typical Florida day, 2 small children, aged 1 and 3, were exposed to inhumanely high temperatures inside the filthy, cramped room of a mobile home where their biological mother was living with an illegal immigrant, who was not their biological father, but took on responsibility of a parent. The so-called father went to check on the kids and found them unresponsive and overheated in the trailer. Here at Deep Dive True Crime, we have trials that you will not find anywhere else. This one in particular is going to be quite intense. It involves Brittany and Pedro, and the death of one of Brittany's 2 children, 1-year-old Alex. This is the trial in the case of State of Florida versus Pedro Agustin Ramirez Alvarado. If you are a regular to our channel, then it is likely that you already know about this case. Perhaps you watched The Britney Show, the full interrogation of Brittany Delgado. If you did, then you saw photos of the filthy conditions of the mobile home where Brittany and Pedro lived together as a couple, raising Brittany's children, 2 boys aged 1 and 3. And if you watched her interrogation, you likely recall that Brittany Delgado, who is in her mid-20s when the events that led to Pedro's trial happened, had 3 additional children, who she had to give up to the state of Virginia, for a total of 5 children. You may also recall that Florida child protection investigators were already looking into how Brittany was raising her 2 subsequent children after she moved to Florida to live with Pedro, and were ready to offer help. But if you watched Brittany's show, her interrogation, you are more likely to remember the horrific fate of Brittany's 2 little boys. The smaller one, Alex, died at the age of just 1 year old. The oldest one, Julio, also referred to as Casper, survived. Both of them had been left alone in a hot room of the mobile home, with the heater on, while Brittany was busy on the phone with an insurance company, and Pedro was doing something else. You may also remember all of Brittany's excuses, and all the blame she tried to put on Julio, the 3-year-old, and on Pedro. Watching this trial will give us a greater insight, hopefully, about what happened that fateful day, and why a precious 1-year-old child died in such a horrific way. And watching this trial, you will also get to see Brittany's latest show, her performance on the witness stand, since she was called as a witness by the prosecution. Finally, you will get to see Pedro testify in his own defense. So, here we go. Let's get started on the trial. Justice for baby Alex. Here we go. This video will include the testimony of the following witnesses called by the defense: Bo Biller, Brittany Delgado, Roberto Cartagena Morales, Pedro Ramirez Alvarado.
You're in there. You ready? Any matters we need to go over before the jury is brought in?
None from the defense, sir.
Excuse me?
None from the defense, sir.
Good.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're ready to proceed with your opening statement?
Yes, sir, I am.
Let's bring them on.
All right, Mr. Jury.
Be seated, please. Y'all haven't gained any new knowledge about this case since we broke yesterday. No one's discussed it with you or in your presence. Good. Mr. Ederaldi, you ready to proceed with your opening statements?
I am, sir. Ma'am?
Absolutely.
And may I move the podium?
Sure.
Good morning, everyone. Here we are on day 3, hopefully the final day, and hopefully not a full day at that. As you recall, I represent Mr. Pedro Ramirez Delgado. I have an opportunity now to give you an opening statement of what I think the evidence will show. Obviously, The state has already put on their case, so I'm not going to belabor the evidence that you already saw yesterday, but you're going to hear some additional facts from us today. You're going to hear from 2, possibly 3 witnesses. First witness is Bo Biller. Bo Biller's an engineer. He's an expert. He's going to tell us about his review of the machine and the circumstances around the machine. He took a look at it and took a look at the mechanisms of it, so he'll give you an explanation of the machine itself. Then we're going to hear from Brittany Delgado, who we heard from briefly, but we'll get into her testimony a little bit more. You'll hear about her background. You'll hear that these are not the first children that she's lost by having the government take it away from her, voluntarily. You'll also hear potentially from Pedro, because if you recall, he does not have to testify at all. We don't have to put on any evidence at all. It's their complete burden to convince you that they've proven the charge beyond any reasonable doubt, but we're going ahead and presenting evidence. It's his decision whether or not to testify. It's not my decision, the judge's decision, or the state's decision. So when the time comes, he'll make that decision, and he'll give testimony if he wishes to. That's basically it. I think you've been a great jury so far. I want to echo what the state has been saying, to thank you for your time and your attention. I think you're going to listen to this new evidence, and if you haven't been convinced of my client's innocence already, I think you will by the end of this morning, possibly this afternoon, specifically because there's no evidence that he did anything wrong. Thank you.
Call your first witness.
Let me see if he's in the hall, sir.
If you'd face this lady and raise your right hand, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Have a seat up here, sir.
I'll give you a chance. Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you tell us your name, please?
My name is Bo Biller.
Mr. Biller, what do you do for a living?
I am currently the engineering manager and senior forensic mechanical engineer at Cummings Scientific.
All right. And what do you do for them?
Primarily reconstruction of vehicle accidents, examine machinery failures, product failures, things of that sort.
All right. So I'm assuming you have an educational background. Could you tell us what that is?
Sure. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Florida State. I have a master's degree in mechanical engineering and applied physics from Johns Hopkins. And I'm also a licensed professional engineer in the state of Florida, so maintaining that license over the years, I've taken various courses.
Are you pursuing any additional degrees?
I am. I'm currently working on a PhD in applied and theoretical physics.
Do you have any specialized knowledge about heating systems?
I do. As part of my continuing education, I've taken coursework in HVAC, or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. And essentially, these type of electromechanical devices, like space heaters, are heavily studied in mechanical engineering.
Okay. Have you written any publications?
I have authored publications.
And can you tell us a little bit about those, just briefly?
Sure. I've written articles on photogrammetric methods, specifically for crash reconstruction. Photogrammetry is using photographs of something to determine measurements in real space. I've written articles on vehicle and occupant interactions, calculating energy during vehicle crashes, things like that.
Are you also, aside from your work at Cummings, doing any teaching work?
I am. As part of my work towards a PhD, I'm an associate instructor at Johns Hopkins. They have a distance program for applied and theoretical physics, and so I'm a part of that. One of the classes actually is in thermodynamics and statistical mechanics, the things that govern heat and temperature transfer.
So that's a class that you're teaching or that you're taking?
That's a class that I'm an associate instructor.
Okay. Have you, aside from writings, have you made presentations, trainings yourself?
I have. I've presented to various organizations, usually in the field of vehicular crash reconstruction.
That's mostly what you do.
That's the majority. I'd say it's probably, if I had to take a guess, 60-40 mechanical and machine failure, and a little more vehicle reconstruction.
All right. And have you been an expert witness in other cases?
I have.
How many cases, if you could ballpark it?
Over the years, it's hard for me to believe this. I've been at this for almost 20 years, so I've been involved in some part, several thousand cases, I would estimate, over the years.
And that's as a consultant or as an expert testifying witness or both?
Both. Not nearly that many times offering testimony, but just investigating and reconstructing.
Okay. How many specifically testifying? If you recall, ballpark figure is fine.
Between deposition and trial, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 times.
Okay. And has that been here in Florida?
Primarily, yes.
But elsewhere, other states as well?
Yes, we cover pretty much the southeast.
All right. And how about here, particularly in Leon County?
I have testified in Leon County.
All right. We tender the witness as an expert in engineering?
So state.
No border.
All right.
So received.
Did I hire you to do some work in the case of the state v. Pedro Alvarado?
Yes, you did.
And how are you getting paid for that?
That's a good question. I know that we receive payments for the work. Where it specifically is sourced from, I don't know.
All right. And what's your normal billing rate?
The company currently sets my billing rate at $3.50 an hour.
And when you say the company sets it, you don't get $3.50 an hour. The company does, and then they pay you how?
I'm a salaried employee.
Okay, so you could work 1,000 hours, you could work 10 hours, you'd get the same salary, assuming you met their
Yeah, my salary,
qualifications.
yes, sir, my salary would be the same.
All right. So whatever work you do for us or anybody else, you're going to make your standard salary.
That's right.
And are you billing us the same rate that you would your normal clients?
No, I believe this case is a reduced rate.
All right. Did you examine a space heater in this case?
I did.
And tell us a little bit about that, where you went and what the operations that you did were.
So I went and I looked at the incident heater at the Leon County Sheriff's Office, I believe, their evidence locker. The primary goal, I was able to do a visual and photographic inspection of the heater. I was able to, I didn't do it myself, but I was able to observe a deputy turn on the heater, looking to see if the thermostat control was functioning and if the heater functioned as it should.
All right. And you mentioned you took some photographs.
I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
Showing the state.
Oh, court.
You're going to cause another accident. Showing you what's been marked as states 1 through G for identification.
You mean
Do you
defense?
recognize those photographs?
Do you mean defense?
I'm sorry?
You said state. Do you mean defense?
Oh, defense. I'm sorry. Defense is 1 through G.
I do.
Are those the photographs that you took?
Some of them, yes.
You took more photographs than those. Those are just a sample.
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately represent what you viewed that day when you were looking at the heater?
They do.
May I introduce Defense's Exhibit 1A through G?
Objection.
No objection.
So received.
All right. May I have those back, please?
Sure.
is audio.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Briefly.
How do you close it? Does it do it automatically or?
It's supposed to.
What's the issue? Start? Very good. Thank you very much.
All right. So what are we seeing here in Exhibit 1A?
So this is the front face of the heater with the controls.
Talk to us about the controls.
All right, so the red and orangish switch that you see with the 1 and 2, that's the power setting for the heater.
Is this one here?
Yes, that's correct.
And
So-
when you mean the power setting, please explain that.
Yeah, so this heater has two power settings, 750 watt and 1500 watt. That's fairly standard for space heaters.
What other controls does it have?
So on the bottom, there's a thermostat control. And since when you place a heater, there's no external thermostat that's measuring the temperature of the room. So the way that they're intended to be used is to turn it all the way up, heat a room to a desired level, and then back off on that thermostat knob until it just turns off. Then it uses an internal, what's called a thermocouple, basically a fancy word for a thermometer, to turn the machine back on and off to try to regulate that temperature.
And this is Space Exhibit 1B.
Defense.
Thank you. I keep saying state up, sorry, I used to do the state attorney years ago. Won't have it that up. Defense Exhibit 1B, can you tell us what this is?
Sure, so that's just looking at the back of the device and where the plug attaches.
Anything special about this, or it's just a demonstration?
Just showing what it looked like.
All right. What do we have in Defense Exhibit 1C?
So that's the identification sticker. It has the power input with 120 volt, 60 hertz plug, the max power output of 1500 watts, the serial numbers, and the for indoor use, and also, of course, the model number.
All right. And what's this information over here?
That's which standard it's supposed to conform to.
This is Defense 1D as in dog. What do we have here?
So this is a risk of fire warning that is on the device, essentially saying to keep it away from anything combustible, furniture, pillows, essentially anything that can catch on fire.
This is the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I believe it is.
We've got two pictures of the same thing. How about this? What's this?
So that's a warning sticker on the outlet cord that's specifically talking about fire risk, not running the cord under carpets, things like that.
And the last photograph, Defense 1G, what are we seeing here?
So that's just taking the cover off to look at the insides of what's going on in here. You can see to the left of the photograph, we're just to the left of the bundle of white wires.
Is this?
Yes. So that's the wiring for the power setting on the heater. To the right, the big silver box, that's the fan shroud that covers the blower fins as well as the heating element coils. And the thermocouple that I was talking about is mounted on top of that right there.
The yellow thing, the silver thing, or the
That whole system.
the whole thing?
Yes.
So that determines when the machine turns on and off, once it's turned on.
That's right. It's designed to set the temperature.
All right. And this part on the left, What is that?
That's the power selector.
Okay, so that's the 1 and 2.
That's right.
What about the dial to get the temperature settings?
The dial from the temperature settings is what's wired to the yellow and black box that's on top of the fan shroud.
So that's coming from over here, and it's this wire right here?
Yes, they're all wired to make sure that you're getting from the power source to your control.
All right. And you mentioned the foils. Are these the foils here inside the fan?
That's right. Those are the heating element coils.
In the course of your investigation of this machine, did you also were able to find the manual for this particular unit?
I did.
Coach,
Sure.
showing me what's marked as defense exhibit number 2. Ask you to see if you can identify that.
Yes, that appears to be the instruction manual for the 1409.
All right. And is that in English and in Spanish?
It is.
All right. And does it contain warnings as to the use of the machine?
It does.
All right. Does it contain any warning about children using the machine?
It does.
Could you tell us what that warning is?
That warning is warning number 3. It says, use extreme caution. Extreme caution is necessary when any heater is used by or near children or invalids and whenever the heater is left operating and unattended.
All right. It has a number of warnings. What's the total number of warnings that it has?
20 warnings.
20 warnings. Of those 20 warnings, how many start with do not?
Looks to be 6.
6 of the warnings say do not. So that's a prohibition. Do not do this.
That's right.
Number 3, regarding children, it doesn't say do not. It just says use extreme caution.
That's right.
All right. We had also looked at warning labels on the machine itself. Did any of those indicate anything about use of children or danger with children
They did not.
in English or in Spanish?
No, sir.
All right. In your research, did you also come upon a U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission titled The Preliminary Analysis of Hypothermia Deaths Associated with Electric Room Space Heaters?
I've seen that, yes.
All right. And based on your expertise and your review in this case, how is one supposed to know what a space heater does ultimately? When is someone supposed to know when it's dangerous to use the space heater?
Well, I think that there's a general knowledge that they're hot. But as far as knowing specifically, for instance, how much an area of your house or room is going to heat to, there's really 2 ways to determine that. One is given outside temperature or your ambient conditions to sit with the heater for a prolonged period of time, or to develop like a mathematical model of the heating and cooling capabilities to see what it can do. And I say ambient temperature because given an outside temperature, your house is giving off heat to the environment. And so when you try to heat it, it's going to heat, or say that the room is much colder than the outside. It's going to heat rapidly at first and then kind of smooth off. That's called Isaac Newton's law of heating and cooling. So this set temperature of the room is dependent on how much heat the room is giving off. You eventually reach an equilibrium. And an extreme example is if you put a space heater outside and it's 50 degrees outside, your space heater in your front lawn is not going to make much of a difference to the temperature of the air.
All right. And in your review of the machine, when you observed it, do you think a child could operate the controls and plug it in?
Objection, speculation outside the scope of this witness's knowledge.
Sustained. Move on.
How hot did this particular heater get at its maximum, do you know?
I believe the source temperature was 150 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's right outside of the coils.
All right, I don't believe I have anything further for this witness. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Cross.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. B as in boy, B-A-U. Biller, like Miller with a B.
Do you still have the report? The manual?
I do.
May I get that from you?
Sure.
Counsel, do you need it?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Biller.
Good morning, ma'am.
So your main body of work is accident reconstruction, right?
I would say again, it's about 60-40 on cases I work on, whether it's looking and examining machines or vehicle crash reconstruction.
And most of what you testify about would be in that same area, right?
Mechanical engineering in general, yes.
Have you ever published anything regarding space heaters or hyperthermia?
I have not.
So everything that you've published has been about, I think, car accidents or accident reconstruction, those types of things, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So nothing in this subject area, like the case we're here for today, right?
That's right.
And in fact, most of your testimony is in civil cases, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
You're being paid by the defense to testify here today?
That's my understanding, yes.
And you mentioned, I think, some talk about the warnings, risk of fire around a space heater. That means not to put the space heater around stuff like trash, right?
That's right.
So if someone was aware that there was a space heater on around a bunch of trash, that would be an obvious hazard, right?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
Potentially, yes.
And that study that you talked about with Mr. Iturralde about it was the study from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, you recall that study?
Yes.
That study specifically discussed child deaths that had occurred because of in-room space heaters, right?
That's right.
And that people, especially adults, need to be cautious of using these space heaters when they have children, right?
That's the general idea that I took from it, yes.
Because these space heaters can be very dangerous, especially to children.
They can be, yes.
And in fact, the study talked about numerous child deaths that had happened because of that exact scenario, right?
That's right.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, sir. In that same study, weren't they recommending that new standards be applied so that heaters are less dangerous, that they turn off at lower temperatures?
That's right.
And so they were reviewing evidence that they had of past issues and recommending changes in the law so that they become safer.
That's my understanding, yes.
Nothing further.
Thank you. You may step down, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All Our next witness would be Brittany Delgado. I don't know if we need a break in order to go get her.
Okay. Is he gonna tell you what? Huh? Okay. We're at our first 10-minute break. During the break, don't discuss the case among yourselves or allow anyone to discuss it in your presence. You go with the bailiff.
Está ahí afuera. Yo pensaba que no iba a venir porque nunca oí de él. Llamé y no me contestó. Bueno, no sé, a lo mejor está de vacaciones, no, ¿sabes? Ahí está.
Hurry up and wait.
So is my life. I got 3 daughters and a wife. Said I got 3 daughters and a wife.
Yeah.
I'm used to wait.
Really?
That's all I ever did.
Roberto necesita intérprete allí.
All right, so let me do it out loud.
No, I'm gonna announce you Brittany's been sworn. She's still under oath.
Yes.
Okay. Tú te pones en la foto y puedes hacer. Okay.
Can we address something on the record before we bring Miss Delgado in?
Sure.
That's she right there. I just wanted to ask, for a proffer of her anticipated testimony based on Mr. Iturralde's opening, and I know this was something he tried to get into yesterday and I objected. I don't see how it's relevant, that she's had other children taken away, so I would be objecting to that line of questioning. She's not on trial here today. The only children and victims that we are interested in are the 2 that are of interest in this case. So the fact that she's had other children taken away, I don't think is relevant because she's not on trial. This defendant is on trial, not her. So I'm going to ask for a proffer of her testimony if that is the anticipated line of questioning, because I would be objecting to it in its entirety.
I can't give a proffer, but I do intend to ask her questions about that. The reason I can't give a proffer is because Ms. Delgado is kind of all over the place and has made numerous statements to numerous people on numerous days. But I do intend to ask her about that. I do believe that it's relevant.
What's the relevancy?
Well, although she is not on trial in this case, she was a co-defendant, and it is not an uncommon defense that some other dude or lady did it. And that's our argument, that she was the one that did it, not my client.
Well, we'll cross the bridge when we get there, okay?
Okay, I think it's also improper character evidence.
Now, she has a valid point there, counsel. Do you have any other witnesses that can testify as to her character?
To her character?
Sure, because what you're doing is attacking her character.
I don't believe I am attacking her character.
I don't know how you could put it any other way, counsel.
I'm not calling her a liar, a thief, or anything else. I'm just stating documented court facts. She's given up other children.
I will allow you to ask her if she's given up other children. Beyond that, we're not going to go into it.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Fair enough? Okay.
Can I get the number of children? I think we did that yesterday.
You did it yesterday. There was 3.
3 additional, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'll bring her in, dude. Bring her in.
Yeah, bring on. Just have a seat. You ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Let's bring them on.
Hey, look. All right, clear.
Please be seated. Ms. Delgado, you were previously sworn yesterday and you're still under oath. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, counsel?
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ma'am. We were here yesterday, but just to start a new, fresh record, could you tell us your name, please?
Brittany Delgado,
And how old are you?
31,
And where were you born?
Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. Has your name always been Brittany Delgado?
No, sir.
What other names have you had?
Brittany Ross.
Is that your initial birth name?
Yes, sir.
Have you had any other names other than Ross or Delgado?
No, sir.
All right. And we also started with, you've had 5 children in total.
Yes, sir.
The 3 that are not at issue in this case, have you given up custody of those children as well?
Yes, I have.
All right. Let's go to December 9th, 1919, which is the day before the incident. If you recall, just drawing your attention to that date, do you recall where you were on the 9th of December, 2019?
The night we were on our way back from Panama City.
What were you doing in Panama City?
Pedro was working on a job, a drywall job at a family friend's house, and I was there helping by being in the car to get supplies or lunch for him.
Does the family friend also have children?
Yes.
And did your children play with that person's children?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall about what time you got home from Panama City in this job?
Around about 1 o'clock in the morning,
All right. When you got home at 1 o'clock in the morning, what did you all do?
we got the kids ready for bed and laid them down, and we laid ourselves down for bed as well.
Where did you lay down?
We all laid down on the sofas in the living room.
So all four of you were on the sofas in the living room?
Yes, sir.
All right. The space heater, was it on in the living room?
No, it was on in the back room.
It was in the back room. Was it on in the back room?
No.
All right. Did you all spend the entire night on the couches in the living room?
I believe so, yes.
Possibly that somebody may have moved at some point?
Maybe, I don't know.
But you didn't move?
I did not know.
All right. What time did you wake up the next day?
Probably around 8 o'clock in the morning.
All right. Would it surprise you that it was a little bit earlier? 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning?
I wouldn't remember the time, to be honest.
Okay. When you woke up, what did you do?
Made breakfast for Pedro, me, and the kids, and we all ate.
Was Pedro awake at that time?
I believe he was awake.
All right. You're not sure?
I can't remember.
All right. Did you use your phone when you first woke up?
No.
You did not? When you made breakfast, was that how soon after you're waking up? Do you recall a time or how much time had elapsed?
No, sir, I do not recall.
And do you believe that you made breakfast for everybody at the same time, or you made breakfast for Pedro later?
Everybody at the same time.
Do you recall taking a deposition or a statement at the state attorney's office on January 12th, 2024?
Yes.
Where we asked you some questions? And let me find it. I asked you, do you know who woke up first? You stated, I did. Do you recall what time you woke up? I want to say it was around 7-ish in the morning. Do you recall that?
Vaguely, yes.
Do you recall me asking you, if both the kids were asleep as well? You stated they were at the time, but I did wake them up at about that 7 o'clock time. More around 8 o'clock, 8-ish, because I made them breakfast and I had to get them changed and bathed before they ate breakfast. Do you recall that?
Yes, vaguely.
All right. And I assume that since you made them breakfast and got them ready, that they had breakfast sometime between 8 and 9 o'clock. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you recall me asking, what did the kids do after they finished breakfast? And you stated, well, before they finished, Pedro had ended up waking up, so I had to make him a separate meal because he didn't want oatmeal. About what time did you say he woke up? 9-ish. Do you recall that?
Vaguely.
All right. Nope. After you made breakfast for the children, what did you do?
I'm sorry, it's been a while.
Sure, I understand. After you made breakfast, what were the children doing?
Playing
Playing how and where?
around the house with the cat. They were
Okay.
chasing the cat.
Tell me about the cat.
The cat's an orange tabby half bobcat. Still a baby herself.
And where did you get this cat?
From the family friend.
That you had done the work in Panama City?
Yes.
Was that the first night the cat was in the house?
No.
It had been there before?
Yes.
Okay. About how long do you think the kids were playing with that cat?
I can't recall, sir.
Do you remember what they were wearing?
They had on their diapers and both of them had a t-shirt on.
Were they wearing anything else?
No, sir.
Did you bathe them that morning?
Yes.
What time did you bathe them?
Around 8-ish.
After breakfast then?
Yes.
All right. Did you use your telephone at all that morning?
Yes, I did once to call the car insurance that Pedro had asked me to call.
All right. Do you recall how long that call took and when you made it?
No, sir.
All right. During this time that we've been talking about, do you recall the location of the space heater?
It was in the back room.
All right. When you say the back room, is that the one with the purple walls that says 21 or 27 painted on it?
It has like a flower-ish thing on it. I don't remember having a number on it.
Okay. But was it purple?
Yes.
All right.
But there was 2 rooms that were purple in most of the rooms are purple in the house.
Okay. Why was the space heater in that room?
To keep the room warm and clean.
And who put the space heater in that room?
I can't remember, sir. It's been a while.
All right. Do you know if Pedro used the phone that morning?
Yes, he did.
Do you know who he was calling?
He had said it was a family member from El Salvador.
Okay. At some point, one of you realized that there was a problem with the children. Do you remember when that was?
No, I don't recall what time it was, sir.
All right. But you remember that happened?
Yes, sir.
Tell us how it happened.
I recall basically Pedro telling me that we needed to get the kids help, and I called 911. It happened pretty fast.
All right. Where do you know where the kids were when Pedro called to you?
They were by the door from the back room.
All right. So they were no longer in the back room. They were out.
They were by the door, like in the doorway area.
All right. Was Pedro holding anything?
Not that I can remember. It happened, like I said, it happened so fast. I don't remember if he was holding anything or not.
Was he holding one of the children?
Not until I got there. I told him to grab one, and I'll grab the other one.
All right. Who grabbed who, if you recall?
He had grabbed Julio, and I had grabbed Jonathan.
And Jonathan is the younger one,
Yes.
the 1-year-old, and
Yes.
Julio was at that time 3 years old.
Yes.
All right. And did you call 911?
Yes, I did.
All right. And as you have both the kids and you're talking to 911, what happened then?
They told us to take the kids outside, and which we did. We took the kids outside and waited for the people to come to help.
Do you recall wetting the children at all? Trying to.
Yes.
All right. Tell us about that.
Well, Julio has had seizures in the past, and when he has seizures, he doesn't breathe and he looks still and doesn't move. And what I've done in the past was rub his chest and put a little bit of water on him, and it revives him. It brings him back. And that's what the first thing that came to my mind to do was that, because I was thinking they were having a seizure, because seizures do run in the family.
All right. Did you do, or did Pedro do the same for the other child?
Yes.
Do you know if Pedro or you tried to do any kind of life-saving measures, CPR, mouth-to-mouth, anything like that? Who did what?
We both did CPR on the kids.
On the
just to
kids
make
that you were
sure.
carrying?
Yes.
All right. And is that inside the house or outside the house or both?
Inside.
Okay.
And outside as well when we were waiting.
How long were you outside before some help arrived?
It didn't seem like long.
And who was it that arrived?
It was an officer, but to my discovery it says it was a spider unit.
Okay. A type of officer.
Yeah.
And did he assist in giving life-saving measures?
Yes.
And did other officers arrive after that?
Yes.
And ambulances and emergency
Yes, sir.
folks? And did they ultimately take the children?
Yes, sir.
All right. Going back to the room before Pedro discovered that there was something wrong with the children, there was a heater in that room that we talked about. You mentioned that you don't know who put the heater in that room. Is that right?
I can't recall, sir.
Do you know who turned the heater on that day?
I cannot recall, sir.
You can't recall? Was it you?
I can't remember. It's
So-
been a while. I cannot remember. It's been 4 years. I have health problems that I'm suffering from right now, sir.
All right. What kind of health problems do you have?
I have diabetes, neuropathy, high blood pressure, and some others to go along with it.
All right. Do you have any mental health difficulties?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about those?
I don't know all of them by name, but I do know that I have a lot of different ones.
Do you take medication for?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what medications do you take?
Lithium, Rimron, amitriptyline, the one for thyroid, I can't remember the name of it. They just put me on it because they said I had really bad thyroid. I can't recall all the I take a lot of medications, sir.
All right. And does the jail give you those medications?
Yes, sir.
Did they give those to you this morning?
They gave me what I'm supposed to take in the morning, which is the thyroid medication, my Excedrin, and Pepsid.
All right. The mental health medications, they help you think better and have less anxiety?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you take them when prescribed, if not this morning, last night at the appropriate time?
Yes, sir. I took my meds last night.
All right. You mentioned that Julio suffered seizures and it ran in the family. Did he have developmental delays before this happened?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about that?
He was diagnosed with developmental delays at about 6 months years old. They said that he was speech delay and had some fine and gross motor delays as well.
All right. And were you able to tell his symptoms just by being with him and being his mom?
I noticed something was different at 6 months when I was watching him with other children, that there were certain things that other children were doing that he wasn't. And I asked the doctor what was wrong, and they said that he was most likely delayed, and then he also had a slight autistic.
Okay. You were living at the mobile home at 6054 Dome what drive?
Level.
Dome Level Drive, thank you. Correct?
Yes, sir.
How long had you been living there?
Since about June or July of 2019.
All right, so just a few months, 6 or 7 months before this happened?
Yes, sir.
Where did you come before that?
From Maryland.
And do you know a woman named Yorina?
Yes, that is my foster sister.
All right, what's her last name?
Lopez.
Yorina Lopez. Do you know where Yorina Lopez was living in June or July of 2019?
She was living, when I first came down here, she was living there, but then she had left literally within that week.
Okay, when you say there, we're
At
the mobile.
the 6054 Dome Level.
All right, so she was there before you were.
Yes.
Was she staying there with anyone else other than Pedro?
The father of her 2 children and her 2 children,
Okay,
and a cousin of her husband's or whatever he was.
How long after you got there did they leave?
About a week.
All right, and then did you still see them periodically? Did you maintain a friendship?
No.
All right. When you say that she's your foster sister, explain that a little bit.
I'm going to object to relevance.
I'm trying to agree. Now, move on.
Yes, sir. Do you know if Yorina and the rest of her family were paying rent at that place?
From what I was told, no.
All right. Were they supposed to?
Yes.
Did you pay rent when you were
Yes.
there? Who did you pay the rent to?
I had originally started giving it to Pedro, then he told me to give it to the owner of the trailer.
Do you know who that is?
Yes.
What's his name?
Roberto.
Do you know his last name by any chance?
I believe it's Cartagena.
All right. Cartagena Merlos?
Yes,
All right.
that sounds right.
All right. And you had been paying rent since basically the first time you moved in there?
Yes,
And that rent entitled you to use some of the rooms?
yes.
Which rooms?
The back room, originally it was the back room and then the smaller room. And then Pedro had told me that I could go in the room with him and the kids can have each their own room.
Okay. Did the kids have a bed and places to stay?
Yes, there was a mattress for both of them in the smaller bedroom if they wanted it. And then they both had also playpens.
They each had their own playpen?
Yes, sir.
Were they the portable kind of playpens?
Yes, sir.
Would they sometimes sleep in those?
Yes, sir.
All right. How often would you say they slept in the bed versus the playpens?
Julio a little bit more than Jonathan, but Julio seemed to like the mattress more.
Julio slept in the mattress more and
Yes.
Jonathan in the playpen more?
Yes.
All right. Did you have food and toys in the house for the children?
I did not have enough toys yet because we had just moved here, but we were planning on going back to Maryland to go pick up the toys that they did have in a storage unit in
Right.
Maryland and Kentucky.
Okay. How about the food?
We had food.
Earlier, you weren't here, but we saw some pictures of the mobile home on the day of the incident. And there's some dishes and some mess. Is that normally how the place looked?
No, sir.
Why was it in that shape on that day?
Because we were working Pedro was working in Panama City and I was with him. I would sit in the car waiting until he was done just to bring him back home. But we would eat breakfast in the car and we would have bring it back and then put it in the dishes in the sink. And sometimes we would have a plate that they let us borrow and take it with us to eat on the way and we would just put it in the sink.
Did you stay in Panama City during this job for a few days?
Yes, we were there for about 10 days or more.
Okay. Was anybody staying at the mobile home while you were gone?
No.
All right. When was the last time you had an opportunity to clean the mobile home?
The day before the first day that he started the work in Panama City.
Okay. Do you know how long the children were in the back room that was heated?
No, sir, I don't recall.
Do you know why some of the doors had the locks reversed?
Yes, I do. I had asked the Roberto if I could take the knobs off because we could not find the safety first doorknob safety handles that would fit those knobs, and he would not let us take the knobs off. I asked could we remove the door. He said no. So I said, well, what can I do? He said, you can flip the knob. So we flipped the knob.
All right.
And the reason why we did that was because Julio liked to lock doors
All right.
and close them.
Do you know if Julio ever played with the heater?
Yes.
What would he do with the heater?
He would plug it in and try to turn it on himself, and I would tell him not to.
How often did that happen?
Not that many times. It was like a couple times that I saw him do it.
All right. And was that on this particular day or in days previous to this?
Previous.
All right. Did you see him playing with it on this particular day?
No, I did not physically see him, no.
All right. One moment, please, if I can consult with my client.
Sure.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Cross?
recent?
Sure.
This is what's already in evidence. This states 1Y. Ms. Delgado, is this the room that the space heater was in? That back bedroom?
Yes, I believe so.
So is this like the flower? You mentioned something about like a flower design. Is this the wall you were talking about?
Yes.
You said you don't remember what time you made the 911 call.
No, ma'am, I do not remember.
Would it help you to see a copy of one of the law enforcement reports that tells you what time the call came in? Would that help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Judge, may I approach?
Absolutely.
No, I'm on one call. Yeah, you barely did it. Thank you.
Just read it to yourself, let me know when you're done. This is highlighted down.
Okay.
That help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
What time did you place that 911 call?
At 1:14
PM or AM?
p.m.
Back in December of 2019, could Julio walk?
Yes, ma'am.
Could he talk?
Not very well, but he could talk a little bit, yes.
He could communicate with you?
Uh,
Somewhat.
One to two word sentences, yes.
Could he play?
Yes, ma'am.
Interact with other children?
Yes.
And you mentioned he could unlock doors.
Unlock and lock them, yes.
So like the doors in your house, he could reach the doorknobs and open and close them?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions?
Redirect.
None, sir, thank you.
Thank you. You may step down. Call your next witness.
The defense will call Roberto Cartagena Melos.
Just one moment. Oh, okay. Meadows. Meadows. If you'll face this lady and raise your right hand, sir.
He also needs the use of interpreters.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Have a seat up here, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Edward Iturralde. I represent Pedro Ramirez Alvarado.
Mi nombre es Pedro Agustin Ramirez Alvarado.
Do you know Pedro?
¿Conoce a Pedro?
Sí,
Yes.
How do you know him?
¿Cómo lo conoce?
él rentaba una de las, o trailers que tenía de renta.
He rented one of the trailers.
And you were the landlord then?
Usted era el dueño casero de esa trailer.
Solo de la trailer, no del terreno.
Only from the trailer, not the lot.
So he would pay you rent.
O sea que él le pagaba renta a usted. Yes.
When did Pedro first start renting from you, if you recall?
¿Se recuerda usted cuándo fue que él comenzó a pagarle renta a usted?
No recuerdo porque mi mamá comenzó con eso y después ya mi mamá no pudo con las reparaciones, entonces lo agarré yo. Entonces la verdad que sí estoy confuso.
I really don't know because it was my mom the one who started with it, and then she couldn't handle all the repairs, so then I took over, but I cannot recall.
So before you were the landlord for that property, your mom was?
O sea que antes de usted ser el casero de este trailer, de esta casa rodante, era su mamá.
Sí.
Yes.
Do you remember about when she gave it over to you?
¿Se recuerda usted cuándo fue que ella se lo pidió a usted?
Como en el 2017 creo. Si no me acuerdo.
If I'm not mistaken, it could have been around 2017.
And Pedro was already living there when you took over.
Y Pedro ya vivía allí cuando usted asumió la responsabilidad.
Por lo que recuerdo, sí.
As far as I can recall, yes.
Do you know a woman named Brittany Delgado?
Conozco a una señora que se llama Britney Delgado.
Cuando iba a recoger la renta, a veces ella estaba ahí. Pero
When I would go and pick up the rent, sometimes she would be there.
Did she pay you rent as well?
Ella también le pagaba renta a usted.
no.
No.
Do you know if she paid Pedro rent and then Pedro paid you?
¿Sabe usted si ella le pagaba la renta a Pedro y luego Pedro se la pagaba a usted?
Yo el contrato que hicimos se lo hice con él, así que la verdad que no tengo idea de eso.
I have no idea. The lease we had, it was with him.
All right. Do you recall switching the locks on the doors inside the trailer?
¿Se recuerda usted haber invertido las cerraduras en la casa rodante?
No.
No.
I'm talking about the interior doors, not the exterior doors.
Estoy hablando de las puertas de adentro, no de las puertas de afuera.
Una vez la persona salía, se hacían las reparaciones debidas y hasta que no la persona saliera de ahí, nosotros entrábamos otra vez a la propiedad a volver a ver qué tenía que reparar. So, no.
No, once we had made the repairs to the house, we would not go back until that person will vacate the property. Then we would not go in back again.
Do you recall Brittany Delgado asking you to remove the locks altogether for the back bedrooms?
¿Se recuerda usted si Brittany Delgado en algún momento le pidió a usted que usted removiera todas las cerraduras de la habitación?
No.
No.
Do you recall Brittany Delgado ever asking you to remove the entire door to the back bedrooms?
Ella en algún momento, ¿se recuerda usted que en algún momento ella le pidió que retirara todas las puertas de las habitaciones de atrás?
No.
No.
One moment, please, if I could. Do you recall making repairs or in fact putting in a brand new door to one of the entrance and exits to the mobile home while Pedro was living there?
¿Se recuerda usted de haber hecho algún tipo de reparación, de haber puesto una puerta nueva para entrar y salir de la casa cuando Pedro vivía allí?
Creo que la puerta de enfrente creo que se cambió nueva, pues si no me acuerdo, porque después de eso, de lo acontecido, perdimos esa trailer. El señor entró en una demanda contra nosotros y preferí dársela. Ya tiene tiempo, parece que la puerta del frente fue.
I believe that it was the front door that it was replaced, but after the incident we got into there was a lawsuit, we lost the trailer, so everything was lost.
Okay. And the incident you're referring to is the incident we're here in court about, the children being injured in the home?
Y con relación al incidente que usted se refiere al por el cual los niños sufrieron las lesiones y por el cual estamos aquí en el tribunal.
Sí.
Yes.
All right. No further questions of this witness.
Cross.
No cross.
Thank you. You may step down.
Ya, gracias.
Your Honor, at this time I would request a brief recess.
Okay. Probably a good time for a recess. Let's get back at about 10 after. Remember, that's our clock. Right or wrong, that's our clock. Don't discuss the case among yourselves or allow anyone to discuss it in your presence. Now you have, all right, I want to make a little inquiry here. Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm testimony given this cause be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You put your hand down. You are Pedro A. Ramirez Alvarado,
Yes, sir.
and you're the defendant in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
You understand you have the absolute right to remain silent and not testify at all in this case. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Have you discussed this fact with your attorney?
Yes.
And is it your desire to testify in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your decision or your attorney's decision?
No, it is my decision.
And no one promised you anything or threatened you in any matter to get you to testify in this case, have they?
Nobody has promised me anything.
And you're doing this freely, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll get back at 10 after. Are you ready for the jury?
Yes, sir.
Let's bring them on.
All right, Drew.
Be seated, please. Y'all haven't discussed the case among yourselves. No one's discussed it in your presence. Good. Call your next witness.
Pedro Ramirez Alvarado.
Have him face this lady and raise his right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, I swear.
Have a seat up here.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Do us a favor. I know you understand some English, but even if you understand me, please wait for the interpreter to interpret, and then she'll interpret back to us. Otherwise, we'll get a confused record. Is that okay?
Muy bien, háganos un favor, yo sé que usted entiende un poco inglés, pero espera que el intérprete termine de interpretar y después contéstenos para así tener que todo quede claro en la clase, ¿está bien?
Sí, muy bien.
Yes, very good.
Could you tell us your name, please?
Díganos su nombre, por favor.
Mi nombre es Pedro Agustin Ramirez Alvarado.
My name is Pedro Agustin Ramirez Alvarado.
Where were you born, sir?
¿Dónde nació, señor?
San Salvador, El Salvador.
San Salvador, El Salvador.
And when was that?
¿Y cuándo fue eso?
1982.
1982.
When did you come to the United States?
¿Cuándo usted vino a los Estados Unidos?
Noviembre del 2009.
November 2009.
And did you come to Florida at that time or somewhere else?
¿Y usted vino a Florida en ese entonces o a otro lugar?
No, donde unos primos en California, en San Francisco, y luego me mudé a donde mis tíos en Nebraska, pues ese era mi destino principal.
No, with some cousins, first in California and San Francisco, and then after I moved with some uncles in Nebraska, that was actually my main destination.
Did you stay in Nebraska?
¿Usted se quedó en Nebraska?
Estuve como 3 meses, pero eso fue 2009, 2010, que si se pueden acordar todavía estaba la recesión económica y en esos momentos no pude encontrar trabajo. Y me tuve que mudar a Wisconsin con los hijos de mis tíos, mis primos, yo los conozco de El Salvador.
I was there for around 3 months. That was from 2009 to 2010. If you remember, that was when the economic recession was still going on. So it was hard for me to find employment. So then I had to move to Wisconsin with the children of my uncles, my cousins that I knew from Salvador.
How long did you stay in Wisconsin?
¿Por cuánto tiempo usted se quedó en Wisconsin?
3 años.
3 years.
While you were there, did you work?
Mientras estuvo allá, ¿usted trabajó?
Sí, trabajé en Azteca Restaurante, de un restaurante mexicano, Red Lobster, y en una granja de como pues, lechero, lechero.
Yes, I worked at a Azteca restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, at Red Lobster, and also at a farm. It was a dairy farm.
And how long did you stay there?
¿Por cuánto tiempo se quedó allá?
Como 3 años también.
Where did
About
you?
3 years as well.
Sorry, where did you go after that?
Disculpe, ¿ya dónde fue después de eso?
Fui a Houston con unos amigos. Estuve trabajando en construcción de paredes de retención para los puentes nuevos y también en pipas, en las, no sé cómo se dice, de tuberías de agua y para construcciones nuevas de casas.
Yes, I moved to Houston with some friends. I was working there in construction. I was working with the retention wall for the new bridges there, and I also worked with pipes. I can't remember what it's called to say it in Spanish. Oh yes, water pipes. Installing them in new construction homes.
How long did you stay there?
¿Por cuánto tiempo se quedó allá?
Aproximadamente 2 años.
Approximately 2 years.
Where did you go after?
¿Y dónde se fue después de eso?
Fui a New York con un amigo de la infancia. Ellos vivían él vivía con los familiares, yo vivía ahí con ellos también, personas que los conozco de El Salvador. Yo les daba empleo a ellos allá porque teníamos un negocio familiar que vendíamos marisco fresco. Los conozco desde mucho tiempo y mi amigo trabajaba en construcción.
Yes, the interpreter will interpret us here for sake of accuracy. I went to New York with a friend from my childhood. They lived there. Well, he lived there with his family members. I knew them from El Salvador, and I provided them employment because they had a family business. of selling fresh seafood and also construction.
No, no construction.
No, not construction. This is the interpreter.
How long did you stay in New York?
¿Por cuánto tiempo estuvo en Nueva York?
De todo el tiempo que he estado aquí, creo que es el más que he estado en New York. Estuve en New York del 2015 al 2018. No me acuerdo. Sí, esa es la fecha, pero no me acuerdo. Son 15, son 3 años en New York.
Of all the time that I've been here, I think I've been in New York the longest. It was from 2015 to 2018, if I remember. I can't recall, but I think, 2015 to 2018, about 3 years.
And was that when you came to Florida?
Yeah, ¿y fue cuando usted vino a Florida?
Sí, el mismo año 2018 vine para acá, para Florida. Me comuniqué con un amigo, solo me mudé por cuestiones de problemas personales con un amigo y pues no me gustan los problemas, me mudé para acá, pues hay mucho trabajo y vine a trabajar en construcción.
Yes, and that same year I came here in 2018. I was able to get in touch with a friend and I moved here because of, personal problems. I don't like to have problems, so I decided to just come here. There was a lot of work here, so I could work here in construction.
When did you move into 6054 Dome Level Road?
¿Cuándo usted se mudó a la 6054 Dome Level Road?
Fue en el 2018, el diciembre del 2018.
It was in 2018, in December of 2018.
Did you live there by yourself?
¿Y usted vivió allí solo?
No, principalmente yo rentaba un cuarto ahí porque trabajaba con el dueño de la renta, trabajaba con él en construcción.
No, I mainly rented a room there because I worked with the owner that I rented from. We worked in construction.
Was that Roberto Cartagena Melos that we heard from earlier?
¿Y ese fue Roberto Cartagena Melos, que nos asestigó anteriormente?
No, era un muchacho que él le rentaba a Roberto.
No, it was a young man and he rented from Roberto.
And you worked for that young man?
Y usted
Yeah,
trabajaba
sí.
ese muchacho.
Was that young man living with you at that place?
Y ese muchacho estaba viviendo con usted en ese lugar.
Él era el que tenía el contrato de la renta, vivía él y su esposa, pero luego ellos se marcharon porque rompieron y cada quien se fue por su lugar y me quedé rentando yo solo el lugar.
Yes, he had the lease, him with his wife, but then they broke up and so they left, and then once they did that, I stayed there by myself with Slate.
Did you ever get any other roommates after that?
¿Usted buscó algún otro compañero de cuarto después de eso?
Después, a los meses, unos compañeros que me presentó este muchacho con el que vivía antes llegaron a pedirme que si les podía hacer el favor de rentarle 2 cuartos porque ellos perdieron el departamento. Y entonces yo lo conocía, ellos tenían 2 niños y pues, les dije que sí, que se podían mudar conmigo.
A few months after that, one of the work coworkers that I had that worked with the young man that I was working with previously, he said that they asked me, the guys asked me if they could rent 2 rooms from me because they had lost the apartment they were in. So so I decided to go ahead and rent them the rooms, and it was him with his 2 kids, and then they moved in. At that point.
What were their names?
¿Cómo se llamaban ellos?
Objection, relevance,
Me pongo.
Excuse me?
relevance.
I'm wondering about the relevance, counsel. Let's move on.
This is starting to get relevant.
It's about time.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
move on.
Can I get the answer to this question, please?
Sure, and then move on.
Se llamaba Fabricio Alvarado y Georgina López.
It was Fabricio Alvarado and Georgina Lopez.
Did Georgina Lopez introduce you to Brittany Delgado?
Y Georgina López le presentó a Britney Delgado.
Ella fue un día en la mañana al cuarto y me preguntó que si le podía hacer un favor. Le dije que me dijera qué necesitaba. Entonces me dijo que tenía una amiga que era como su hermana, que tenía problemas familiares, que estaba viviendo en hoteles y que tenía 2 niños, que si le daba permiso de llevarla a vivir ahí.
She came one morning to the room and asked me if I could do a favor for her, and I said yes. What do you need? And she said she had a friend that was like a sister to her, and this friend was having family problems, and she was living in hotels, and so she asked me, and she said she had 2 kids, and she asked for permission to see if she can come in and stay with us.
How long did all of you live together there?
¿Por cuánto tiempo vivieron todos ustedes en su país?
Ellos, cuando llegó Britney, nada más como 1 semana, 2 semanas, tuvieron problemas entre ellos por dinero, porque dijeron, yo le dije que podía llevarla, pero que tenían que buscar otro lado para rentar porque eran muchas personas y que se tenían que mudar, pero que sí la podía llevar ahí para mientras ellos buscaban otro lugar.
Well, once Brittany came in, it was maybe about 1 or 2 weeks after that, and they left because they were having money issues. We agreed to bring her in, but I told them that there was too many people, so they have to look for another place that was more permanent. So I told them that she could stay there in the meantime while they found another place.
Is Brittany Delgado your wife?
Britney Delgado es su esposa?
No,
No.
Is she your fiancée?
Ella es su comprometida?
no,
No.
Is she your girlfriend?
Ella es su novia?
no,
No.
Did you have sexual relations with her?
¿Usted tuvo relaciones sexuales con ella?
como 3 veces.
About 3 times.
Are you the father of the 2 children at issue in this case?
¿Usted es el papá de los 2 niños?
No.
¿En este caso? No.
All right. Let's go back to December 9th, 2019. Do you recall what you were doing on that day?
Vamos a hablar entonces del 9 de diciembre de 2019. ¿Usted recuerda qué estaba haciendo ese día?
Ese día terminé un trabajo, pues anteriormente yo renuncié a mi trabajo que tenía y empecé a trabajar por mi cuenta. Tenía que trabajar, quería hacer una compañía a mi nombre y estaba trabajando, tenía que terminar ese proyecto ese día y pues alrededor de las 2:30 de la mañana llegué a mi casa ese día porque tuve que terminarlo hasta noche, yo no quería regresar ya.
Yes, I was working because I quit my previous job and I wanted to start something that was working on my own. I wanted to start my own company under my name. And so I had this project that I needed to finish. So I went ahead and worked on it all day. So I came home about 12:30. That way I didn't have to go back again to it.
Was that in Panama City?
Yes, it's on Panama City?
Sí.
Yes.
How many days were you physically there working on the project?
¿Cuántos días estuvo físicamente trabajando en el proyecto?
Del 1 de diciembre al 9 de diciembre, 9 días.
From December 1st to December 9th, 9 days.
Was anyone else with you?
¿Había alguien más con usted?
Ayudándome, nadie, solo Britney me acompañó porque el primer día que fuimos a ver el proyecto fue un amigo conmigo y ella me dijo que quería ir porque no tenía nada que hacer. Yo le dije que sí, que podía ir. Entonces fuimos a ver el proyecto y la hija del dueño de la casa se encariñó con los niños. Esta gente tenía caballos, perros, gatos y los niños estaban jugando ahí cuando yo...
Helping me, no one, but Brittany did come with me to the project. Initially, I had a friend that came with me to see it, and then Brittany asked if she could come with me because she really didn't have anything else to do. So she came with me to the project. The daughter of the owner of the house, she really grew fond of the kids, And they have horses and dogs and cats, and so the kids enjoy that.
What time did you get home on December 9th?
¿A qué hora llegó a su casa el 9 de diciembre?
Alrededor de las 2:30, 2 de la mañana.
About 2:30 in the morning.
When you got home, what did you do?
Y cuando llegó a la casa, ¿qué usted dice?
Pues parqué el carro y desperté a Britney porque se quedó dormida. Se suponía que ella manejara el carro porque eso era lo que iba a hacer. No estaba trabajando conmigo, pero le dije que si me estaba acompañando que manejara y yo le iba a pagar, porque yo estaba muy cansado. Pero cuando llegamos la desperté, ella se fue para adentro, yo me quedé arreglando las herramientas en el carro.
I parked the car. I woke up Brittany because she was supposed to be driving. I mean, she wasn't working with me or anything, but I told her that if she would come, I would need her to drive, and I would pay her for it because I was really tired. And so when we got there, I woke her up. She went back inside, and then I stayed out in the car fixing the tools and getting them all arranged.
What happened to the kids?
¿Qué le pasó a los niños?
Cuando la desperté a ella los agarró. No me acuerdo cuál fue el primero que metió, pero puso a los dos adentro de la casa y después ella se fue para adentro.
Once I woke her up, she grabbed the kids. I can't remember which one she put in the house first, but she grabbed both of them, put them in the house, and then she went in the house herself.
Did you see where in the house she put the children?
¿Usted sabe en dónde la casa de sus niños?
Cuando entré, ellos estaban en el sofá, un sofá que estaba, habían dos sofás, ellos estaban en un sofá, los dos, y ella se había quedado en el otro sofá, y estaban dormidos. Entonces yo entré, agarré una cerveza y me fui para el carro otra vez a revisar mi teléfono, y alrededor de las 3:30 me entré otra vez a la casa y ellos estaban dormidos en los sofás y yo me fui para mi cuarto.
Well, they were in the, when I walked into the house, they were in the sofa. There were two sofas, so the kids were in one sofa. She was in another sofa. They had fallen asleep there. So I went in, I grabbed a beer, I went outside to the car again. I was checking my phone, and then I went back into the house about 3:30 in the morning. And then I went to, everybody was still asleep, and then I went into my room.
Did you sleep the entire night?
¿Usted durmió toda la noche?
Sí, me desperté hasta las 11, 11:30 del siguiente día. Estaba bien cansado.
Yes, I slept until 11:30 of the next day. I was really tired.
When you got up, who did you see?
Cuando usted se levantó, ¿a quién usted vio?
A nadie, solo lo primero que hice es revisar mi teléfono porque terminé el trabajo, pero no me pagaron ese día. Estaba esperando la llamada de mi contratista para que me terminara de pagar mi dinero.
Excuse me. Let me stop you. I asked you, who did you see?
I'm going to ask for the answer to be given.
Okay.
The jury didn't get to hear the translation.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sí, voy a dar la respuesta porque el jurado dice que okay, I got up, and there was no one. I mean, I looked on my phone, because nobody paid me. I mean, I finished the project, but the contractor hadn't paid me.
Excuse me. Please listen to my question and answer the question that I asked. I asked you, who did you see? And you told me about the phone calls and being paid. Please be specific and answer the question that I asked and not give any additional details. If you would, please.
Por favor, conteste la pregunta que le hice. Yo le pregunté a quién usted miró. Usted me habló del teléfono, de las llamadas, que no lo habían pagado, pero por favor, simplemente contesta la pregunta que le hice y no de detalles adicionales.
When did you first see Brittany?
¿Cuándo usted vio a Britney por primera vez?
That morning.
Esa mañana.
Ok, fue como 20, 30 minutos después de haber despertado, porque desperté pero me quedé en la cama revisando el teléfono y checando unos mensajes. Solo hice unos mensajes de voz y ella llegó, me preguntó que si, oh, que si había hablado con el contratista para pagarme.
It was about 20, 30 minutes later, because when I woke up, I stayed in bed. I was checking the telephone, checking messages, doing voice messages, and then Brittany arrived and she asked me if I had spoken with the contractor, if he had paid me.
Is that about the time that you left the room, or did you stay in the room further?
Eso fue la hora más o menos que usted se fue del cuarto o se quedó en el cuarto más tiempo.
No, ahí me quedé en el cuarto.
No, I stayed in the room.
When did you leave the room?
¿Cuándo se fue del cuarto?
No me acuerdo cuánto tiempo pasó de la primera vez, pero ella llegó otra vez a preguntarme lo mismo y fueron unos 15, 20 minutos después y me fui a duchar.
I don't remember because she left. I don't remember how much time it went by, so she came back again and she asked me the same thing. Maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, and then after that I left and I got up to shower.
Do you recall the time that you took a shower? If you do, if not, that's fine.
¿Recuerda a qué hora se duchó o si no se recuerda?
Quizás a las 12, 12 y cuarto. No sé.
Maybe about 12 or 15, I don't know.
Did you see the children when you left your room and went to go take a shower?
¿Usted vio a los niños cuando usted salió de su cuarto a ducharse?
No, no lo vi. Cuando Britney llegó al cuarto las 2 veces, le pregunté la primera vez por los niños, dijo que estaba jugando. La segunda vez dijo que estaban durmiendo. Yo no los vi, solo me metí a bañar.
No, I didn't see them. The 2 times that she came in, the first time I asked her about the kids and she said they were playing, and then the second time she came in I asked her and she said that they were asleep, but I did not see them when I got up to go to the bathroom.
Would you have been able to see them when you go from your room to the bathroom if they were still laying on the couch?
¿Usted los hubiese podido haber visto si usted cuando se levantó de su cuarto para ir al baño, estuviesen todavía en el sofá?
No los vi, la verdad.
To be honest, I didn't see them, no.
Would it have been impossible for you to see them taking that route?
¿Hubiese sido posible para usted mirarlos al usted tomar esa ruta?
No, la pared está muy larga y el cuarto, la puerta de mi cuarto está directo al baño.
No, the wall is too long, and then the door to the bathroom is right in front of my room.
Okay. So they may have been there, they may not have been there, you don't know.
Así que puede ser que hubiesen estado allí, puede ser que no, usted no sabe.
No sé.
I don't know.
When was the first time that you did see the children?
¿Y cuándo fue la primera vez que usted sí vio a los niños?
Cuando entré de hacer una llamada porque la mamá de mi hija estaba llamando que tenía que pagar la renta, hablé un rato con ella y entré y Britney no estaba ahí. Anteriormente estaba haciendo una llamada para el seguro, quería preguntarle qué le habían dicho, no estaba ahí, entonces fui a buscarla aún.
Yes, I went back in to do a phone call. I was talking to the mother of my daughter because I needed to pay the rent, and so I was talking to her for a while. When I got in, I didn't see Brittany. Brittany wasn't there. I knew that she was calling the insurance, and I wanted to ask her what they had told her.
En ese momento fui a buscar el cuarto donde dormían ellos y el otro cuarto que prácticamente no había nada porque ella pasó los niños a su cuarto y el siguiente cuarto yo lo abrí y vi los niños que estaban en el cochecito y vi al niño el niño pequeño que estaba con los ojos abiertos y la boca abierta y el otro niño estaba como durmiendo.
And then, so I went to a room uh, where they slept because there was the other room, there was really nothing there, and she had taken the stuff from the other room to her, the kids to her room. And so I opened the door and I noticed that the kids were laying on the stroller. The youngest was there laying with the eyes open and the mouth open, and then the other one was laying like that, sleeping.
Do you recall anything about the temperature of that room?
¿Recuerda algo en cuanto a la temperatura de ese cuarto?
Yo prácticamente venía de bañarme, estaba fresco, sentí caliente, pero no mucho. Pero en ese momento yo vi los niños y toqué al niño menor, no me respondió, después toqué al otro niño y solo hizo un ruido así como, oh, y movió la mano así y me asusté. Fue cuando empecé a hablarle a Britney, le grité, que Britney, Britney, y ella estaba en el porche de adelante, porque venía de ese lado y venía con un cigarro en la mano. Y yo le pregunté.
Well, I had just finished showering, so I felt, comfortable. So when I walked into the room, I felt it warm, but not too much. And when I touched the kids, when I touched the kids, I touched the youngest one, and he didn't respond. And then I touched the oldest one, and he made like a noise, like awe, and then moved his hands, and I got scared. And so that's when I started calling Brittany, and I yelled, Brittany, Brittany, and she was outside on the front porch, and she was coming from that side, and she had a cigarette in her hand.
Y en ese momento le dije que los niños estaban mal, que los viera, que están mal, y yo le dije, te pregunté por los niños, y 2 veces, te pregunté por los niños 2 veces, porque mira, están mal, le dije, y agarré el niño Julio, lo agarré conmigo, y le dije, trae el otro, me fui para el baño, y encendí la regadera. En ese momento ella estaba gritando, estaba hablando, y yo estaba bien asustado.
Yes, and I told her, the kids, there's something wrong with the kids, there's something wrong with them. I told her, I asked you twice for the kids, and there's something wrong with them. And so I grabbed the boy, I brought Julio with me, I brought him to the other side to the bathroom, I opened the faucet, and Brittany was talking and screaming, and I got really scared.
Let me back you up a little bit. When you went into the room and saw the children, did you notice a heater?
Déjeme retroceder un poquito. Entonces, cuando usted entró al cuarto y vio a los niños, ¿usted vio el calentón?
No en el momento, pero empecé a ver a todos lados y escuché un ruido. Pensé que era el aire acondicionado, porque era un aire acondicionado viejo, pero lo que sonaba era el heater, y me quedé viendo y yo dije, quizás es esto, y corrí, lo desconecté, y fue cuando llegó Britney.
Well, not at the moment. I did hear a noise, and I thought at first it was the air conditioning because it was an old unit. But then I noticed that it was the heater, so I was like, well, maybe this is it. And so I went ahead and unplugged it, and that's when Brittany walked in.
All right, going back to where we left off, in the bathroom with the kids and the water, what were you doing with the water?
Muy bien, vamos a dar entonces donde nos habíamos detenido, está en el baño con los niños, el agua, ¿qué se hizo con el agua?
Pues me metí al baño y empecé a ponerle agua, le empecé a poner agua, no despertaba, y lo puse en el suelo, y yo no soy médico, pero pues en la escuela nos enseñaron, en El Salvador tiene muchos terremotos, y nos llegaron a dar un curso de primeros auxilios, y eso incluía el CPR, y empecé a darle CPR como podía, pero yo no soy un profesional, nada más que pillé a los niños mal y los empecé a auxiliar.
Well, in the bathroom, I was throwing water on them, and he wasn't waking up, and so I put him on the ground. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but in El Salvador, we have a lot of first aid, so we get training with first aid. And so I tried to do CPR on him as I could, but of course I'm not a professional, because I just noticed that the boy was really bad, so I was just trying to help him.
And the boy that we're talking about is Julio.
Y el que estamos hablando es Julio.
What was going on with Jonathan?
¿Y qué estaba pasando con Jonathan?
Britney lo tenía en las manos, así, y yo seguía atendiendo a Julio, no despertaba, entonces le di respiración boca a boca, y el niño despertó, le hizo, ¡ah! y yo dije que bien, ya despertó, pero lo tenía así, y se volvió a quedar así, y lo volví a poner en el piso y le empecé a dar CPR otra vez, chequé si estaba respirando y no respiraba, le volví a dar aire con la boca y volvió a respirar y hizo lo mismo.
Well, Brittany was just carrying him in her arms like this, and then I was taking care of Julio, and he wasn't waking up, so I gave him mouth to mouth, and then he woke up and went like, and I was like, oh good, he woke up. But then once he went ahead and went back and stayed like this again, so I laid him on the ground again, I did CPR again, and then I went ahead and gave him mouth to mouth again, because I noticed that he wasn't breathing. And then he woke up again, but then he did the same thing again.
Did you or Brittany do similar for Jonathan? Throw water on him, give him life-saving first aid?
Usted o Brittany hicieron algo similar con Jonathan, le tiraron agua, le trataron de hacer medidas salvavidas.
Ella le puso agua, pero en lo que yo estaba atendiendo a él, solo le dije, haz lo mismo con él, haz lo mismo. Pero no sé, yo pienso que estaba asustada, yo la verdad estaba asustado, no sé, ella es la madre, pienso que estaba en shock, no sé, pero ella no solo lo tenía cargado, le puso agua.
Well, I told her to do the same thing, to put water on him while I was taking care of him, and then I told her to do the same, but I don't know, she was scared. I mean, I was scared. I mean, she's the mother, so she's probably just in shock. She was just carrying him, and she threw water at him.
Did you or she call 911?
¿Usted o ella llamaron al 911?
Sí, porque yo le dije, llámale a la ambulancia antes de que, cuando el niño estaba despertando y se desmayaba otra vez, y no lo hizo, y le volví a decir, llámale a la ambulancia, y ella me preguntó, ¿lo llamo? Yo le digo, claro que no ves que se están muriendo. Entonces fue cuando ella lo llamó.
Yes, I told her to call the ambulance, especially when I noticed that the boy was waking up and then passing out again. And she didn't do it at first, and she was like, should I call them? And I was like, yes, of course, when you see that they're dying, and then that's what she called.
After calling 911, what did you and Brittany do with the children?
Le pregunté qué le dijeron y me dijo, dicen que lo saquemos al patio para que les dé aire fresco. Y fue cuando nosotros salimos corriendo con los niños a ponerlos abajo así de un árbol en la sombra. Y inmediatamente venía llegando un policía. Él no era paramédico, pero sacó como un kit de primeros auxilios y le empezó a dar aire a Julio y después al niño y le empezó a dar CPR.
I asked her, what did they tell you? And she said to take him outside to the yard to get some fresh air. So we ran outside, we put them underneath a tree that was with shade, and that's when we saw one of the police officers coming in. He wasn't a paramedic, but he took out like a first aid kit, and then he was giving like pumping air to Julio, and then giving CPR to the boy.
And when you say the boy, this was all treatment of Julio?
Cuando dice el niño, se refiere a todo el tratamiento que le dieron a Julio.
El policía llegó y interactuó primero con él, pero Después interactuó con el otro niño y se enfocó en el niño pequeño. Pero
When the police arrived, he was focused first with him, but then afterwards he went and focused on the younger boy, and then stayed with him.
Did other police and first responders arrive?
Otros policías y miembros del manejo de emergencia también llegaron.
sí, inmediatamente empezaron a llegar carros del sheriff, llegó el primero, los paramédicos, bomberos, muchos carros, no sé ni qué eran, si eran policías, no, estaba rodeado de carros.
Yes, and then more cars starting to arrive, and first the sheriff, then the paramedics, then the firefighters. I mean, there was a lot of cars that arrived. I really don't know which one was from what. There was a lot of cars.
How long between you running outside did you have all these first responders in your front yard?
Muy bien. ¿Cuánto tiempo pasó desde que usted salió afuera hasta que llegaron todos estos personas del personal de atiende las emergencias?
1 minuto, 2 minutos, porque nosotros íbamos todavía con los niños y se parqueó el carro y se bajó el muchacho. Él era un policía, no era paramédico, pero él fue el primero que llegó inmediatamente, 1 o 2 minutos desde que empezamos a correr, de la llamada hasta que llegamos afuera fue 1 o 2 minutos.
It was 1 or 2 minutes because we were still carrying the kids and running outside with them. So like when we walked outside running with the kids, we saw the car parked and the young man came out. He was a police officer, he wasn't a paramedic. And so it was just 1 or 2 minutes from the phone call to we went outside and saw the police officer.
Earlier in the trial, we saw a picture of you and Brittany holding the children. Is that when that was happening?
Muy bien, anteriormente en el juicio vimos una foto de usted y Britney cargando a los niños. ¿Eso fue cuando pasó eso?
Sí, ese momento era cuando el muchacho se bajó del carro y venía hacia nosotros. Fue cuando pusimos los niños en el suelo.
Yes, that's when the young man got out of the car and was coming towards us, and that's when we placed the children on the floor.
Did the ambulance take the children?
¿Y la ambulancia se llevó a los niños?
No, en ese momento los paramédicos interactuaron con él ahí, pero yo andaba sin camisa. Le dije a un policía que me iba a ir a poner una camisa y Britney me dijo que si le alcanzaba su bolso porque ella se iba a ir con los niños. En ese momento cuando yo salí ya llevaban a los niños para la ambulancia, pero le dijeron a Britney que ella no podía ir con ellos.
Not at that moment. When they arrived, I didn't have a shirt on, so I told the police officer I'm going to go and put in a shirt, and then Brittany was, can you grab my bag so I can go with the kids? And so when I got out, they were taking them to the ambulance, but then when Brittany tried to get on the ambulance, they told her that she couldn't go with the kids.
Okay. And then at some point after that, police started asking you questions?
Y en algún momento después de eso, la policía le comenzó a hacer preguntas.
No, le hicieron preguntas a ella y lo primero que le preguntaron que quién eran los padres biológicos del niño, porque ellos estaban hablando en inglés. Y yo le pregunté a ella qué dijeron y me dijo que quiénes son los padres y qué le dijiste. Me dijo que nosotros éramos padres y yo le dije que por qué estaba diciendo eso.
No, because they were initially talking to her first, and they were asking her who were the biological parents of the kids. So I saw them talking in English with her, so I asked her, what did they tell you? And she said, oh, they're asking me who are the biological parents, and I asked her, so what did you say? And then she said that we were, and I was like, well, why did you tell them that?
But at some point, the police did ask you questions, yes?
Pero en algún momento la policía sí le hizo preguntas a usted.
Sí, en ese momento cuando vieron que estábamos discutiendo en español, ellos nos separaron y me dijeron, anota esto, anota lo que pasó aquí en este papel. Y pues eso fue lo que me dijeron nada más.
Yes, at that moment, when they saw us arguing in Spanish, they separated us, and then they were like, well, right here, in this paper, what happened, and then I did, and that was it.
Let me show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 7. May I approach?
Sure.
Sí.
Do you recognize that?
¿Usted reconoce eso?
Sí,
Yes.
Is that the statement you gave to the police?
Esa es la declaración que usted le dio a la policía.
sí, lo reconozco, es por mi letra.
Yes, I recognize it. It's my own writing.
And you signed it?
Y usted lo firmó.
Sí.
Yes.
Could you read it slowly so that she can interpret it?
Judge, I'm going to object and ask for the statement to speak for itself. It's in evidence and the jury can read it.
The statement will speak for itself.
All right. May I have it back, please?
¿Lo podrá leer, por favor?
In your statement,
En su declaración.
you said that you...
Judge, I'm going to object. Same objection.
It's the same objection, counsel. The
Yes, sir.
document speaks for itself. He said he wrote it and he signed it.
Yes, sir.
The document will speak for itself.
Yes, sir. May I ask him to clarify things that are in the document?
You go ahead. Just go ahead.
In your statement, you said that your wife prepared food. When you said your wife, who did you mean?
Era Britney, en ese momento yo no, solo escribí eso y pues la verdad no, en ese momento solo tenía niños en la cabeza, qué estaba pasando, nunca he estado en una situación así, escribí eso y se los di a ellos.
I mean, it was Brittany, but I mean, that's just something I wrote at the moment. I was thinking about the kids. I've never been in a situation like that, and so I just wrote that.
You also stated that the kids came to play. Yes?
Usted dice que también los niños vinieron a jugar, ¿sí?
Sí, eso fue lo que ella me dijo, entonces yo puse eso en el papel.
I'm going to object. There hasn't been a question.
Excuse
That's
me.
what she said on the, that's what she told me to
Wait.
say.
Whoa. What?
There hasn't been a question.
No ha habido una pregunta.
I just don't want her to continue interpreting when I've objected. Like,
No quiero que ella me entienda.
All right. What is your objection now?
¿Cuál es su objeción?
that there wasn't a question. He read the statement.
Yeah, there wasn't a question.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So whatever he's about to say should not be allowed to be said because there was no question.
I agree. Objection sustained.
Is it true that you saw the children playing?
¿Es cierto que usted vio a los niños jugando?
No,
No.
Why did you say that?
¿Por qué usted dijo eso?
pues ella me dijo que estaban jugando las dos veces que le pregunté y la otra me dijo que estaban durmiendo.
Well, she told me they were playing the 2 times that I asked, and then the other time she said that they were asleep.
Do you know how long the heater was on in that back room?
¿Usted sabe por cuánto tiempo estuvo encendido el heater desde la semana pasada?
No,
No.
Did you turn on the heater in the back room?
¿Usted encendió el heater?
No.
No.
Do you know how long the children were in the room with the heater?
¿Usted sabe cuánto tiempo estuvo los niños también con el heater?
no,
Did you put the children in the room with the heater?
¿Usted puso los niños en el cuarto con el heater?
no,
No.
Do you know who did?
¿Usted sabe quién lo hizo?
no,
No.
You ever seen Julio play with the heater?
¿Usted alguna vez ha visto a Julio jugar con el heater?
sí,
Yeah.
What did you see him do with the heater?
¿Qué usted vio que Julio hizo con el heater?
lo encendió, lo conectó y lo encendió.
He turned it on, he plugged it in, and he turned it on.
Was that this day or another day?
¿Eso fue este día o otro día?
No, otros días.
No, other days.
Is there anything else you would like the judge and jury to know?
Objection.
Sustained.
No further questions.
Cross.
Mr. Ramirez Alvarado, I'm going to ask you a bunch
Excuse me just a moment. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. My questions are going to be yes or no questions. So when I ask them, please just answer yes or no.
Objection?
Wait till you hear the question.
Do you understand?
Sí.
My objection is that she can ask yes or no questions, but he's allowed to explain beyond yes or no.
That's what we have redirect for. Go ahead.
So please just answer the question that I ask you. Do you understand?
Sí.
Yes.
So you said that you were not in a relationship with Brittany Delgado, but you provided for her and her children, right?
Usted dice que usted no estaba en una relación con Britney Delgado, pero usted era quien proveía para ella y sus hijos. ¿Es eso correcto?
Yo proveía para mi parte y cuando a ella le faltaba yo le prestaba dinero y me pagaba al final del mes con su cheque de disability.
I would provide for myself, and whenever she needed some money, I would lend her some money, and she would pay me back at the end of the month with her Social Security check.
So you're saying you didn't provide for her or the kids at all, is what you're saying today.
Lo que usted está diciendo el día de hoy es que usted no mantenía ni proveía para ella y para los niños.
No como padre, nada más cuando lo hice fue por ayudarle. Cuando ella llegó no tenía nada. Yo pues le dije que podía agarrar comida, pero el siguiente mes me tenía que pagar renta y todo tenía que hacerse cargo de sus cosas y así fue.
Not as the father of the children, I did help her when she arrived because she had nothing. So I told her that she was that she could have some food, and then next month she would have to contribute and she would have to pay rent.
And so you didn't leave your room on the morning of December 10th, 2019 until around 12 or 12:15 when you went to take a shower, is what you're saying today.
Lo que usted está diciendo el día de hoy es que usted no salió de su habitación el 10 de diciembre del 2019, sino como hasta las 12, 12:15 cuando se fue a dar un baño.
Sí.
Yes.
And that the first and only time that you saw the children was when you went to that back room and found them unconscious.
Y entonces la primera vez y la única vez cuando usted vio a los niños fue cuando usted fue a esa habitación de atrás y usted los vio inconscientes.
Sí.
Yes.
You remember talking with Detective Brock, right?
¿Se recuerda usted haber hablado con el detective?
Sí.
Yes.
And you told Detective Brock that the kids, you saw the kids go to the room and that they were playing. And when you were checking over there, that they were playing, didn't you?
Y usted se recuerda haberle dicho al oficial Brock que usted vio a los niños en la habitación y de que estaban jugando y de que usted los verificó y estaban allí jugando.
No me acuerdo, pero sí, Britney me dijo eso.
I do not recall, but that's what Brittany told me.
I'm asking whether or not you said that. Did you tell Detective Brock that, yes or no?
No me
No le
acuerdo.
estoy preguntando eso, solo que le estoy preguntando si usted le dijo al detective Brock eso, ¿sí o no?
No me acuerdo.
I do not recall.
Would it help refresh your memory if I showed you a transcript of your interview?
¿Le ayudaría si le mostrara una copia de la transcripción de su despacho?
Está bien.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask for the interpreter to read to you, starting on line 19, or page 19, line 25, onto page 20, line 6.
Le voy a leer acá lo que dice la página 19 en el número 25 de evidencias. En el número 25, los impresiones de la medicación libres y los casos no supera la examinación cuando lo estudia es anticipado. Lo que significa lo mismo. ¿Dónde está el mío? ¿Dónde está el mío? Es una medicación. Entonces, si usted tiene
So you did say that, right?
o sea, que usted sí dijo eso, ¿correcto?
Posiblemente, no sé.
Possibly, I don't know.
Well, didn't the interpreter just read this page to you?
La intérprete no le acaba de leer esta página a usted.
Sí.
Yes.
And isn't that what it says on the page that you said?
Y no es eso lo que dice en la página, que eso fue lo que usted dijo.
Pues si me pregunta si me acuerdo, no me acuerdo. Si lo dije, pues si está ahí, lo dije, no sé.
If you ask me if I remember it, I do not remember it. If it's there, well, it is there, but I do not recall.
Okay, I'm asking you if you said it. So you're saying if it's on this paper, which is what I'm asking you, is it on this paper?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
O sea, yo le pregunto a usted que si usted lo había dicho. O sea, que si usted en este papel, pues porque usted lo dijo.
Entonces sí, lo dije.
So then I did say it.
So you did say that you went and checked on the kids and that they were playing, right?
O sea, que usted sí dijo que usted fue a revisar a los niños y que ellos estaban jugando.
Sí, porque eso fue lo que me dijo Britney.
Yes, because that's what Brittany told me.
But you never told that to Detective Brock. You didn't say, Brittany told me. You said, I saw, right?
Pero usted nunca le dijo eso al detective Brock, ¿verdad? Brittany me dijo eso, sino que usted le dijo al oficial, sí, yo lo vi.
Sí, porque estaba hablando conmigo.
Yes, because he was talking to me.
You also never told him that you stayed in your room the whole morning.
Usted tampoco nunca le dijo que usted se había quedado en su habitación toda la mañana.
Claro que sí.
Of course I did.
So you didn't tell him that you went out into the living room and talked to Brittany.
Usted no le dijo que usted había salido a la sala y que había hablado con Britney.
Sí, en el momento cuando salí, ella estaba ahí, ella hizo la llamada, me llamó mi contratista y ahí fue cuando estábamos hablando. Fue cuando me llamó la mamá de mi hija y me salí para hablar. Cuando volví a entrar ya no estaban ellos, ahí fue cuando la andaba buscando y encontré a los niños.
Yes, when I came out, she was out. Then she was making a phone call. That's when I received a call from my contractor. then I was talking, and then the mother of my child called, so I came out, and then when I came back, that's when I was looking for her and for them.
Okay, so you did come out of your room then?
O sea que usted sí salió de su habitación.
Sí.
Yes.
So which is it? Did you come out of your room multiple times, or did you not come out of your room until you took a shower?
O sea que entonces, ¿qué fue? ¿Usted salió de su habitación varias veces o usted solamente salió de su habitación cuando usted se fue a la habitación?
Su pregunta es si salí de la habitación a hablar con Britney. Por eso le dije que sí. Pero cuando yo salí por primera vez, fue al baño. Y luego después fui a la sala.
You asked me if I came out to talk to Brittany, and then the first time that I came out, it was when I went to the shower, to the bathroom, and then I came out to talk to Brittany.
You told Detective Brock in that interview that you went to go check on the kids 2 times, right?
Usted le dijo al detective Rock que usted había ido a escuchar a los niños 2 veces, ¿correcto?
Sí, se lo dije porque esas son exactamente las 2 veces que le pregunté a Britney.
Yes, I told him that because those were the 2 times that I asked Brittany.
But that's not what you told Detective Brock. You didn't say, I asked Brittany about the kids 2 times. You said, I went to go check on the kids 2 times.
Pero eso no fue lo que usted le dijo al detective Rock, que usted le había preguntado a ella 2 veces por los niños, sino que usted le dijo que usted había ido a ver a los niños 2 veces.
Sí.
Yes.
And in fact, when you went to go check on the kids, you told Detective Brock that Brittany was on the phone.
Y es más, usted dice que cuando usted le dijo al detective Rock que cuando usted fue a revisar a los niños, Britney estaba en el teléfono.
Sí, pero eso no fue así.
Yes, but that's not how it happened.
Well, that's what you told the detective, right?
Pero eso fue lo que usted le dijo al detective, ¿verdad?
Sí, pienso que sí.
Yes, I believe so.
So you knew that Julio could plug the heater in and turn it on, right?
O sea que usted sabía que Julio podía conectar el calentador y encenderlo.
Lo vi una vez y se lo dije a Britney.
I saw him once and I told Brittany.
So that's a yes.
O sea que es un sí.
Sí.
Yes.
Mr. Iturralde asked you about the sleeping arrangements with the night you guys got back to Tallahassee, and you said you went and slept in your room, right?
El señor Iturralde le hizo unas preguntas a usted con relación a los arreglos de cómo iban a dormir cuando regresaron a Tallahassee. Y él dice que usted le dijo que usted había ido a su habitación.
Sí.
Yes.
But you told Detective Brock that the night that you all got back from Tallahassee that the 2 kids slept on one sofa and you and Brittany slept on the other sofa, didn't you?
Usted le dijo al detective Rock cuando ustedes regresaron, entonces los 2 niños durmieron en un sofá y usted y Brittany durmieron en el otro.
No, eso no es correcto. Además está el video si lo quiere ver.
No, that's not true, and there's the video if you want to watch.
And you told Detective Brock when you were talking about Julio specifically, that he really needed to be taken care of, and that, in fact, you were watching him all the time because he was always getting into stuff, right?
Y entonces usted le dijo al detective Rock que a Julio era el que tenía que prestarle mayor atención y que usted era el que siempre tenía que estar velando por él.
No,
No.
You never said that.
¿Usted nunca dijo eso?
no.
No.
In fact, Detective Brock specifically asked you about going to check on the boys in the back bedroom, the 2 times that you said that you did, and he asked you if the heater was on both of the times you went to go check on them, and you said no, right?
Entonces el detective Rock le preguntó a usted si usted haría, cuando usted había ido a checar por los niños en la habitación de atrás, esas 2 veces sí el calentador estaba encendido, ambas veces.
No me acuerdo, pero no creo que estuviera encendido.
I do not recall, but I don't think that it was on.
I'm asking if you said that.
No.
No.
Detective Brock also asked you if Brittany asked you to watch the kids, and you said, no, I am always checking on them, didn't you?
Usted también, el detective también le preguntó a usted que si Britney le había pedido a usted que usted estuviera chequeando a los niños. Usted dijo que no, que usted siempre estaba cuidando de los niños.
Sí los cuidaba porque ellos están muy pequeños. Yo soy padre de 4 hijos. A unos niños se les cuida, no importa si es tu hijo o no es tu hijo.
I would watch over them because I am a father. I have 4 children of my own, and if you are the father of not, you're an adult, and you take care of them because they were very young.
At the very end of your interview, after Detective Brock mentions that if something happens to these kids, that someone is going to go to jail, you stated that this situation was out of your control and that you were sleeping, didn't you?
Entonces, al final de la entrevista, el detective Ross dice que si hay algo que pasa, que si algo pasa con estos niños, alguien va a ir a la cárcel. Y usted dice que la situación estaba fuera de su control porque usted estaba durmiendo.
Sí.
Yeah.
Can I have a moment, Judge?
Sure.
You also told Detective Brock, number one, you referred to Brittany as your wife to him, didn't you?
Usted también le dijo al detective Fox, bueno, para empezar usted le dijo que Britney, se refería a Britney como su esposa, ¿verdad?
No.
No.
Okay. And you also told him that she's not legally your wife, but that you were in a relationship.
Y usted también le dijo a él que ella no es legalmente su esposa, pero que ustedes estaban en una relación.
Nunca le dije eso.
I never said that.
Como le dije anteriormente, ahí está el video, yo no he dicho nada de eso.
Like I told you before, the video's there, I have never said that.
No further questions?
Cross, or redirect, excuse me.
The statement you gave to Detective Brock was on the day of the incident, correct?
La declaración que usted dio al detective Fox fue el día del incidente, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
So about 4.5 years ago.
Como hace unos 4 años y medio acá.
4 años, 5 meses.
4 years, 5 months. Okay.
And when you went to speak to Detective Brock, you had already made this written statement.
Y cuando usted fue a hablar con el detective Fox, usted ya había preparado esta declaración escrita.
Eso fue en el momento que llegaron los paramédicos.
That was at the time when the paramedics had arrived.
So you locked yourself into that statement.
O sea que usted se fijó en esa declaración que usted había dado.
No.
No?
When you were speaking to Detective Brock, were you speaking in Spanish or English?
Cuando usted estaba hablando con el detective Fox, ¿usted estaba hablando en inglés o en español?
Eso fue en inglés, pero yo antes de empezar la entrevista, yo le dije a él que mi inglés no era bueno, que yo no sabía si ellos me iban a entender bien y que si yo les iba a entender bien lo que ellos me estaban diciendo, y me dijo, no te preocupes, vamos a figurar todo a ver cómo hacemos para entenderte.
In English, but before the interview, I explained that my English, it was not that good, that I was not good, that I didn't know if they were going to understand me or if I was going to understand them. He said not to worry about it, if they were going to figure it out.
So they did not provide an interpreter.
O sea que ellos no le proporcionaron a usted un intérprete.
No,
No,
ni me lo ofrecieron.
not even offered that.
I'd like to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1E. May I?
Sure.
Does that look familiar to you?
¿Le parece familiar?
Sí, son los sillones donde dormieron ellos y obviamente es la sala de la trailer.
These are the couches where they slept. Obviously, this is the living room of a trailer.
May I? You stated that the children were sleeping on one of the sofas that night, correct?
Dice que los niños estaban durmiendo en uno de esos sofás, ¿sí, no?
Sí, ellos estaban en el sofá de aquí
They
y
were
Britney
sleeping-
en el otro.
They were sleeping in this sofa, and Brittany was in the other one.
Well, we can't see which one this is, so can you tell us what color pouch you're talking about?
No podemos entender cuando usted te dice este y el otro, ¿de qué color está? ¿A qué color está?
En el sillón café estaban los dos niños y en el negro estaba Britney.
In the brown in the brown one were the children, and in the black, Brittany.
So, this one
Es
is the one where the children were.
donde estaban los niños.
Sí,
Yes.
This one is where Brittany was.
Y aquí es donde estaba Brittany.
sí.
Yes.
Is this a sofa or are these reclining chairs?
Esto es a recliner.
Los dos son reclinables.
Both of them are recliners.
Is there something in the middle? Can you sleep across it as a couch or do you have to sleep on it like a recliner chair?
¿Usted, hay algo en medio que usted puede usarlo como un sofá a lo largo o tiene que usarlo como
No. En medio había para poner vasos, pero como les digo, esos son reclinables.
Those are recliners, like in the middle you can place some glasses.
So when Brittany was sleeping on this, was she sleeping across it or as a reclining chair?
No, en
Cuando
este
estaba
lado.
durmiendo, ella estaba durmiendo atravesada o como un recliner.
No, en este lado, con reclinada.
Recliner on the other side.
The side farther from the other side.
Esto está más lejos. El lado que está más lejos.
El del lado izquierdo que se puede ver de la foto.
The one that you can see on the left side of the picture.
Thanks. And you've stated several times that you made some phone calls on your telephone and received some phone calls that day, the 10th, is that right?
Usted dijo que usted había hecho unas llamadas telefónicas o que usted había recibido unas llamadas telefónicas este día, el 10.
Sí, cuando desperté, pues, como se lo dije, yo tenía que cobrar por mi trabajo. Hablé a mi contratista y a la señora que consiguió el trabajo, pero no me contestaba. Después, cuando estábamos en la sala, que cuando salí del baño, Britney estaba llamando y mi contratista me llamó, me dijo que ya todo estaba bien, que fuera a recoger mi dinero y que tenía 2 casas más para mí. Terminé la llamada y después me llamó.
I'm going to object to narrative.
Let's keep, go ahead and answer this question, but I don't want any more narratives.
No es de una investigación, nada. When I woke up, as I stated before, I was calling about my job because I needed to get paid. So I called my contractor and the lady who had found us the job. Nobody responded, and then we were in the living room, and then I came out in the bathroom. Then my contractor called me, and then she said that I could actually go and that everything was being set up, and that I could go and get my paycheck and my payment, and then she had found like two other jobs for me.
Thank you. Would these calls show the time that you made those calls on your telephone or in your telephone records?
Entonces, estas llamadas, se pudieran ver en su teléfono y en el registro de las llamadas cuando usted las realizó.
Sí, la primera vez que llamé adentro del cuarto, es una llamada normal. La segunda vez sí, la llamada también de mi contratista. La otra llamada que recibí de la mamá de mi hijo, de mi hija, no sé si se puede monitorear porque fue una llamada por Facebook.
The first call, it was a normal call, then the other one was my contractor, and then the next call from the mother of my son, my daughter. I do not know if you can track
Excuse me, that's not responsive to your question.
I agree.
So I don't want it answered. That's just another narrative run on. Ask a question specific.
I think I am, Judge. I'm trying.
You did, I understand.
The question is, would your telephone or telephone records show the times that you made these calls, yes or no?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
You may step down. You have another witness?
No, sir. The defense rests.
Any rebuttal?
Yes, sir. Detective Dustin Brock.
You're previously sworn and you're still under oath, sir. Have a seat.
May I proceed, Judge?
Absolutely.
During your interview with Mr. Ramirez Alvarado, did he refer to Brittany Delgado as his wife?
Yes.
During your interview, did he describe that they were in a relationship?
Yes, he did.
During the interview, did he ever tell you that the only time he saw the children was when he found them unresponsive in the back bedroom?
I believe he mentioned checking on him once or twice maybe before.
So, did he say that that was the only time that he saw them? Like that he only went that one time?
I believe so. I'd have to refer to my transcript to be exact, but I believe so.
As to the number of times?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he specifically mention that he saw the kids go to the room and that they were playing?
Yes.
Did he qualify that statement at any point and say that Brittany told him that?
I'm not sure what you mean. Can you rephrase that?
Like when you were speaking with him, did he say he personally saw that or that Brittany told him that?
He personally saw it.
So he never told you that Brittany is the one who told them the kids were playing?
Correct. He admitted to personally witnessing them playing in that room.
And when we say the room, he meant the back bedroom where the heater was.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
As to the number of times he went to check on the children, would seeing a copy of the interview transcript help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
For the record, it's page 39.
Okay.
Does that help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times did he tell you he went to check on the children?
2 times.
Again, did he say that he did that personally or that he asked Brittany about the children?
He did that personally.
Did you ask him about their sleeping arrangements the night they returned from Panama City to Tallahassee?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall him telling you that he and Brittany slept on one sofa and the children slept on another?
Yes.
Do you recall specifically having a conversation about Julio?
Yes.
Do you recall that conversation being about how he's plugged in the space heater and he gets into things?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And because of that, did this defendant tell you that he is always watching Julio?
Yes.
Because he has to keep an eye on him.
That's correct.
When did you ask him about the 2 times he went to go check on the boys if the space heater was on in the room?
I believe I did, but I don't recall what he told me at this moment.
Would seeing a copy of the transcript help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
May I approach the witness?
Sure.
For the record, this is page 78.
Okay. Okay.
That help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do you remember asking him about those 2 times he went to the room, whether or not the heater was on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did he say whether or not the heater was on or off?
He did say. He said it was not on.
Did Mr. Ramirez Alvarado ever ask for an interpreter?
No, he did not.
Were you able to understand everything he said?
Yes, I was.
Did he respond to your questions appropriately?
Yes, he did.
No further questions?
Raw?
He may not have asked you for an interpreter, but he told you that he didn't speak English very well, that he understood more and spoke less. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And even though he didn't ask for an interpreter, I'm sure that the sheriff's department has interpreters that are available to them.
Sometimes they're available. It depends on the day or time.
And is it true that you have Spanish-speaking deputies that are available to you?
We do, not very many, but yes.
All right. You didn't try to get those?
No.
People lie, don't they?
People do lie.
How do you know when people are lying or not?
You asked me this question yesterday, right?
Similar one, but not exactly.
Exactly.
That's what I recall, Judge.
It's also speculation. So I would
Yeah.
object.
That was the ruling yesterday, too.
All right. Phone records don't lie, do they?
Depends on what data in the phone records you're referring to, but for the most part, they're pretty accurate, yes.
All right. Nothing further.
Okay. Any other rebuttal witnesses?
No, Your Honor. The state would rest and he's free to go.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Sir.
Members of the jury, we reached a stage of the trial where I need to get with the attorneys out of your presence. This could take some time. So why don't we break for an early lunch? And I'm guessing it's probably going to be about 1:30 when we get back. No, make it 1. We'll do our best to start promptly at 1. Like I told you yesterday, we give new meaning to the term promptly sometimes. Y'all don't discuss the case among yourselves. Allow anyone to discuss in your presence. Y'all have a good lunch, and we'll see you hopefully at 1:30. Or 1. Go ahead. Okay,
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion for judgment of acquittal.
I kind of figured you would.
Your Honor, we're doing our previous motion for judgment of acquittal. Now at the close of the case, I was able to get some of that case law I was talking to you about yesterday. The first one is not really binding precedent, but it's from Judge Sjostrom, who I know you find to be a great judge. In the case of State of Florida, via Tia Nicole Washington, case number 2022 CF 2254. And in that case, the judge dismissed the case on a C4 motion where the facts were that a woman left her child in the car and the child suffered grievous injury based on being left in a car and got hot, but she did not realize that she had left the child in the car. And since those were the facts as stated and agreed to, he felt that he had to dismiss the case, and he cited a number of cases in there, some of which I'm about to tell you as well. The First District Court of Appeal has issued several rulings regarding culpable negligence of children getting hurt. And let me give you those cases, and I'm planning on giving you the actual cases if you'd like. I'm sorry, I don't have copies for the state, but I will provide the citations. I have State v. Taylor, June 14th, 2023, case number 363, Southern 3rd, 126. It was a JOA case in a similar circumstance. 132, Southern 3rd, 1238, Burns v. State from the 1st District. 141, Southern 3rd, 246, Jovita Ibagwa, and let me spell that, I-B-E-A-G-W-A, from the 1st District. And Jennifer Kish from the 1st District, Jennifer Kish v. State, 145, Southern 3rd, 233. And in all these cases, Judge, they discuss culpable negligence. Culpable negligence is more than simple negligence. It has to be with a total reckless disregard for life. As as my client was charged, he was charged with procurement, willfully, or by culpable negligence. There has been absolutely no evidence that it was done willfully. There was absolutely no evidence that it was done by procurement. There was really no evidence that it was done by culpable negligence by my client. The evidence has shown so far that it takes from 45 minutes to 2 hours and 45 minutes for the room to get hot enough for the children to have suffered that injury. The telephone records show that Miss Brittany Delgado was up and about and using her phone at about 6:45, and that jives with her memory of being up about 7 o'clock and starting her day. The telephone records also show that my client woke up at about 11 o'clock and started using his phone. So that jives with his testimony that he woke up about that time and started using his phone. Between the time Miss Brittany Delgado woke up and the time my client woke up were at least 4 hours worth of time. That is more than enough time for Miss Delgado to have negligently, intentionally, or otherwise placed the children in the hot room while my client was asleep, where he would have absolutely no knowledge of what was transpiring. Not a single witness has been able to testify that my client did anything. At best, they have him for lying to the police because he's made, or perhaps even perjury. He made a statement here and he made a different one to the police. But in no way can they prove that my client did anything intentional, culpably negligent against these children, or even negligent against the children. He simply did not do anything wrong in this case. And I asked the judge to accordingly dismiss it. No reasonable jury could find that my client did anything wrong. At the very beginning, I forget if it was during, I believe it was during the jury selection, the state says they have a burden. I have to prove that a crime happened and that this person committed it. They've proved that a crime happened, a terrible crime, a tragic crime, the death of a child and the serious permanent injury of another child. Terrible crime. My client didn't do it. I ask you to dismiss him.
Says State.
Judge, I'll mostly rely on my argument from yesterday. I don't think that the defense case has really changed anything in the evidence at all. If anything, I think it's given more ammo for the jury to find this defendant guilty. I think it's very clear that he's now given multiple inconsistent statements about observing and taking care of the children and things like that. He has placed himself in that caregiver role. He said that he saw the children, and he put a timeline in place that is inconsistent with the facts that we have in the state's case. So I think it is absolutely reasonable for a jury to be able to find him guilty because he absolutely was culpably negligent because he had a duty to these children and he failed them. So I would ask you to deny the JOA same as yesterday.
There you go.
Probably improper, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'd like to know what evidence there is that he did something culpably negligent.
Well, that's a jury question. It's also going to be taken up in the jury instructions. So I'm going to deny your motion for JOA at this time. You want to go over the jury instructions?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And do you want these cases? I have them here in a folder for you if you want to
I'm
review them.
familiar with Scherstrom's.
I'm sorry?
I'm familiar with Scherstrom's, and I'll be happy to read them, but I still believe it's a jury question.
I understand. You ruled. I have them here. If you want them, you can have them. If you don't want them, I'm sure you can look them up yourself.
Just save them.
Save them?
Save them for next time.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for watching. The next video in this series is coming soon. Be sure to check the description of this video for links to other videos in this case, including links to Brittany and Pedro interrogation videos. We apologize if we made any errors with respect to the witnesses' names. We are working off hard-to-read handwritten notes from the court. Until next time, Stephanie the Sleuth and Mentor Lawyer. Thanks for watching Deep Dive True Crime. Thanks for watching Criminal Breakdown. Thanks for watching Mentor Lawyer Justice Network. Presiding over the trial is Circuit Court Judge William Gary, serving as a senior judge. The prosecutor team consists of Savannah Jacobs as lead counsel and Ryan Fields as second chair. The defense attorney for Pedro is Mr. Edward Echeralde. The jury is composed of 5 women and 1 man, plus 1 female alternate.